evening, cult members and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to our Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett called The Streets of Mos Espa. Discussion, reaction, review, and spoiler talk.
Right.
First off, I want to say I've been sick for almost a week now with the Ronas. And so if I start coughing, I'm sorry. I will try to fix it in post. I can't make any...
Fix it in post.
I can't make any promises. Like we said, there's spoilers in this episode, this discussion, and so what I want to start with is Danny Trejo's in Star Wars.
He actually yelled it out. Danny Trejo's at Star Wars.
Of course he is. This is Robert Rodriguez's boy.
Yes.
This is Robert Rodriguez's show, and this episode was directed by Robert.
Yes.
And so, of course, Danny Trejo was going to show up at some point in time.
Right. He was like, "Hey, Robert. Hey, Bobby. I would like to be in Star Wars."
Actually, I think the phone call was Lucasfilm and Favreau and Filoni and everybody got off the phone with Robert, and Robert dialed Danny and said, "I'll make a Star Wars, and you're gonna come and be the Rancor trainer."
Yeah,
like it's like the
Wrangler.
most. It's the most perfect job for him.
I was a little concerned when he came in on the transport flat thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, they're like, "Okay, you need to put this thing away because we can't haul him in there."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh my God, is that it? Like, is that all that Danny Trejo is going to be?" And nope, he's going to stick around.
He's going to stick around. I have some theories, which we'll get into towards the end, about what they're setting up, but specifically what the Rancor they're setting up. So I think that's going to be kind of interesting what that conversation is going to be. Let's start with, Boba in the tank, because all of the stuff that happens when he's in the tank is him remembering what happened in the past.
Right.
And as amazing as the last episode was, freaking Robert had to just pull our hearts out.
Right.
So Boba goes into town to talk to the head of the Pikes there on Tatooine that I'm here for my tribute.
Yep.
And him saying, "I've already paid my tribute to somebody else over lands that you've already claimed. I'm not going to pay twice. I'm willing to pay, but I'm not willing to pay twice." Right. Makes
Fair.
complete business sense.
Yep.
Boba goes back to the camp, and somebody has decimated the camp, killing everyone.
Right.
And it was the biker group that he took out at Tossie Station.
Right.
That was the same symbol on the tent. Not the Pikes. They are the... I can't remember their name right now. It's going to make me crazy. But they decimated the entire group.
Right.
Very Anakin-y.
Yes. But they did it...
They killed the women and the children.
They did that in... Was it the first episode where it kind of looked like... what happened to Anakin's aunt and uncle?
Yes.
So there's
some
killing everybody.
There's some parallels with a lot of things that we've seen in there, but they made a point of showing the chief, which I'm really upset about, because one of my theories was when in the previous episode when Finnick said we have to get permission to kill the Hutts, I thought they were going to ask the chief,
right,
kind of being the head of the Fremen kind of feel to him.
Right.
And that theory's out the window.
'Cause
so we're back on Mephisto. It's Mephisto.
It's Agatha.
Agatha, all along. But him... I liked the acting choice of Tamora being remorseful and angry at the same time, and no words. A lot of the time when you're seeing the Tuskens, there's no words.
Right.
There's no. It's only Tamora. It's only Boba that's doing the talking and stuff like that. And I really like that part. I like that. Keeping that part of it simple and visually telling you the story.
Right. Well, to be fair, who was he gonna talk to?
That's true. But he didn't yell out. He didn't yell
Yeah,
out. He
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
cry. He
yeah.
didn't like.
He's a little teary,
Right, but
looking off into the distance or whatever.
especially when he put the boy's training
Yeah,
gaffer stick into the
yeah.
fire.
I think that was probably the hardest hit for him.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he had grown some attachment to him, and he keeps remembering himself when his dad went off and then got killed,
Yeah.
and so I think that was a little bit of the connection there.
Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting. They keep talking about, or at least hinting at, the conversations of Boba is from a planet, Camino. It's all water.
Yep.
And they keep making a point of talking about how Tatooine
Right.
had oceans and stuff like that. So
Yep.
they keep kind of hinting that there's a conversation to be had there, which is why I can keep kind of making the joke that this is Arrakis. It's a desert planet that has all the water held up underground, and the Tuscans are the Fremen.
Right.
It feels very much like that, and that's okay because Star Wars is influenced by Dune.
Right.
And so it's just an interesting kind of like parallel, at least with that part of the conversation. Now the stuff that's going on in the modern stuff is straight out Godfather.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodfellas, Godfather.
Boba is woken up in his bantha tank by it being emergency opened, making a huge mess, and Black Chrysanthemum is there, and he starts beating the hell out of him.
Yeah. Throwing him all over the place. And I was a little hesitant about how this fight was going to go because,
Right.
You've told me some of his backstory, and then we kind of saw a little bit of that with the electric
Brass knuckles.
chrome knuckles,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and that they had been surgically implanted and all that. So I got a little bit of that backstory. So it was like, I mean, I know Boba's a badass, but
Right.
I mean, this guy is gonna, and it took many of them, and then
a trick.
putting him in the Rancor tank.
I liked that they kind of started the episode with one of Boba's subjects, complaining that he's getting robbed, and then Boba going and addressing the group that robbed him, and it's a straight out 80s biker gang from the UK. They've got Vespas, they've got leather coats and spiky things,
Yep.
and they're all android augmented.
Yes.
Which they made a point of talking about, which is a character within Star Wars. I'm sorry, guys. I'm like I said, my brain is mushy. But there's a character in the comics that is going on in this time period who has been augmented with cybernetics.
Cybernetics.
And so there's been a little bit of kind of whisperings that maybe he could show up. And so when they started kind of talking about this gang, I thought that maybe that leads to, he's a bounty hunter too, so it makes sense that he would be there. But this gang is all kids from the working part of town,
Right.
who are robbing the water merchant, because the water merchant is straight out just stealing, is jacked up his prices so much.
Right. He's scalping the
that's the word I was looking for.
water.
Yeah.
And then, they're like, he's charging us a month's worth of wages for a week's worth of water, and then Boba says, well, you're from the working district, why aren't you working or whatever? And they're like, there's no jobs.
Yeah.
So then he's like, well, I'll give you a job. And then, he kind of squashes the water merchant too, and he's like, here, you get a third of the price that you were trying to charge for this water. So now he has a biker gang.
His own biker gang. That's not going to kill him in his sleep, at least not yet that we think. But it adds to what feels like him building his own army.
Yeah.
And he's building his army not out of fear. That's one of the big things they kept saying in the trailer was,
Yep.
I'm going to rule with respect and not fear.
Yep.
And so he's respecting these kids he's respecting them standing up to him
Yeah.
in the face of I'm the boss now, you need to listen to me or whatever, and
Yeah.
and him saying I don't care, the group as a whole saying I don't care, we need water, and
Right.
they're getting gouged for it.
Right.
And desperate times calls for desperate measures, and so they're obviously doing what they need to do to
Yeah, they're not
get the
just
water.
being thugs for thugs' sake.
Yeah.
They're actually trying to get, water to live, and they don't have the means to purchase it outright because there aren't any jobs. So they're being truthful and honest with him, and so he's going to be respect that and be truthful and honest back. And so, like you said, he's not ruling them out of fear. He's like, okay, this is a problem. I'm gonna offer you a solution, and if you
Take it.
yeah, if you take it, then great. We're all on the same page.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and they did.
And they did, and then when BK gets there, and is really, I mean, it's not really a fair fight normally if Boba's in his armor because BK is a badass. Not that Boba's not, but he doesn't have his armor on. He was healing, resting in the bank tent.
Yeah.
So now he's in his underwear. He's discombobulated.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to cough at some point in time. He's discombobulated, and BK's just kicking his ass, and then the group shows up.
Yeah.
And
I think I even said, where's his muscle? He has all these,
it's his private chambers. They're not just sitting around in his private chambers.
but he got in.
Yeah.
It's not like he just materialized. This isn't Star Trek.
Yeah,
He didn't
yeah.
just materialize there. So he got in, he got past everyone. And, yeah.
And it took all of them to get him to the trap door, and
Yeah.
Finnick opening the door and trapping him, like making him fall in. And then he was holding onto the edge, and Finnick finally just threw the knife on the
Yeah.
back of her gun or their dagger or whatever to get him to fall in the Rancor pit. And it was just really interesting. Like I feel that BK is a bigger conversation. Like they needed to show that he took on what, 8 of them, 9
Yeah.
of them
Yeah.
by himself,
And the only way they won was by tricking
him. Right?
Yeah.
He was definitely winning that fight, even though Boba hit him in the back with the pointy end of the gafta stick,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
got shot a couple times. Like, I mean, he's a Wookiee. He's a Wookiee that was so vicious he would pull the arms off for other Wookiees, which is why he got kicked off of Kashyyyk. And then he went and trained on his own as a gladiator. So
Yeah.
he is a big ass dude.
Yeah.
But it's laying groundwork for something that I think that's going to be important down the line for him.
Yeah, I think he'll either come back and help in some final battle,
Right.
because, I mean, Boba, the twins show up with the baby Rancor, and Danny Trejo, and they're like, hey, we're getting out. This is going sideways really quick. Here's a present. We're sorry. And they try to give them BK back, and they're like, nope, we're leaving. We don't want him. He's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they left, and so Boba's like, let him go, and
I
see ya.
love Boba's comment there too, because he's like, no hard feelings, it's just business.
Yeah.
Like he understood what BK was doing. BK was hired by the twins
Yeah.
to go kill him.
Yeah.
He's a former bounty hunter.
Yeah.
He understands what's going on.
Yeah.
He wasn't upset with him, and showing him mercy by letting him go, and BK the whole time like looking at him like, what really?
Yeah.
And his eyes got really big, and
Yeah.
and I love his like waddle as he runs off, because you're 7'7" or whatever, with that big costume on. It's really hard to kind of run around.
Yeah.
But that whole sequence just feels like, especially what we'll talk about towards the end with the Pike showing up. He's just gonna be another.
He's banking goodwill for later.
Yeah. The scene with the Hutts, with the twins, and the giving of the Rancor as a gift. The biggest part of that, outside of Danny Trejo, the biggest part of that is they were like, the mayor has given custody of the city or most
The lands.
the lands
Yeah.
to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that somebody else is the Pikes.
Yeah.
Now, I found it interesting that they were like, even the Hutts. Now, again, I talked about this last week with the canon part that we're going to kind of try to work around. There's not a ton of Hutts left.
Yeah.
And Hutta, the home planet of the Hutts, is not something that is right now a major player within in the galaxy.
Right. Which is why they've taken over some third-rate desert planet, Tatooine.
Right.
Like nobody cares about Tatooine.
But it was very interesting for them to be introduced last week, threaten Boba, send BK in this episode, and then they show up and we're like, sorry, our bad. We're leaving because we're scared of somebody else.
Yeah.
And as much as I think the Pikes are important and there's something to be scared about, there's somebody above them that is controlling them.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep working on this somehow to get Kira here.
I just think it's weird that he went to the Pikes to get his money, his tribute. Yeah, there you go. And they were like, "Oh yeah, no, sorry, it's that biker gang that's that is used." And then the Hutts show up and they're like, "No, it's the Pikes." So they're playing a little.
I was it Finnick that said the Hutts will let everybody else fight each other and then come in and kind of
swoop in and
take over. And I'm like, that's a really good play by the Hutts.
Well, they're giant slugs. What they can't run. They can't fight for themselves.
In the comic, there's a fight scene. I think it's the comics. It might have been Clone Wars, where a younger Hutt, not one that's been living on a litter, the last 50 years, but a younger Hutt was very much like Kingpin, where just massive muscle and size that they were able to throw around anybody they wanted to, and so. That
little bitty arms.
It was little bitty arms, and the little rodent thing that's just.
I'm sweaty. Give me my rat.
Yeah. When we go to Celebration, when we go to Celebration, I'm just gonna walk around in a brown coat and a little like fluffy little ball, and just every once in a while just kind of pat myself down. The giving of the Rancor. So the Hutts leaving is taking a piece off the board that I think is going to come back on eventually at some point in time.
Yeah.
The giving of the Rancor is very interesting because that's a big boy gift. You're not giving that to somebody as a joke or as a, they are properly giving tribute to Boba, giving them the Rancor and giving them control of BK.
Yeah.
And so I think what they're doing is legit.
They're hedging their bets as well.
Right. They're hedging their bets and letting.
They probably did something with the Pikes too.
Probably.
And there's everybody. So whoever wins is going to be like, oh yeah, the Hutts, they were great. They gave us blah blah blah, and so we'll let them come back and we'll give them this section over here.
Yeah. And then they'll do what the Hutts do, which is slowly take ground.
Yeah.
While whoever is left is weakened from the war that they were just in and stuff.
Yeah.
The Rancor was not named. They made a point of saying, so what are we going to name you? So Moochie is from the Bad Batch, which is about the right age for Moochie to be there. Moochie was in the Bad Batch. It was a youngling that Omega rides at the end of the episode. But they made a point of saying he's got a blindfold on. They attach themselves to the first human they see, and so they made a point of having Boba be the first person that sees him, and then Danny Trejo's Rancor Wrangler trainer or whatever,
right?
After Boba had to leave because they were trying to get a meeting with the mayor. After he left, he was like, he's okay, he'll be back.
Yeah.
Like you humanized the Tuskens and now you're humanizing a Rancor. Like, what is this show? Rancor was this big scary thing, and they even made a point of saying, "I thought they were just killing machines or
Well,
killing
but
animals of."
if you remember in, was it Empire, when the Rancor that was there got killed,
that Luke kills. Yeah,
the trainer, wrangler, whatever, then was like super distraught.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god, you killed him, and blah, blah. So obviously there was some sort of connection between,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, at least
Absolutely,
one
absolutely. And
way.
he's the one. The back to what we were talking about before in Aftermath. That Rancor trainer was the one that Cobb Vanth got to come to Freetown and raise the baby hut that they found on.
Oh
Tatooine.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm not saying that they're going to do that because the fact that they had Cobb Vanth in the show at all as a prelude to a different part of a book, like that part is just dumbfounding. So them doing it again, I don't think it's going to happen. But
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm like, but it's all like all laid there. Like
Yeah.
if you really know what's going on. They go to see the mayor, the factor, the Twi'lek factor, is
Harold,
like Harold,
assistant,
whatever he is, sleazeball, made a point of, the mayor's schedule is so busy, and
Yeah.
then Finnick threatens him with a gun, and he's like, we can move some stuff around. I'll be right back.
I'm like, as soon as he started walking out, I was like, he's
running.
He's
He's
leaving.
running. But Boba saying, wasn't that a little heavy-handed? And at some point in time, he has to be heavy-handed. Even after BK attacked him in his home, he said, I have to respond.
yeah.
And then Finnick's all like, "Hey, have some food." They had all this food. I don't know what the food was for, a dinner or something.
Well, it was tribute.
Oh,
'Cause
it was the
he's-
tribute. Yeah,
he's
yeah,
the
yeah.
guy,
yeah.
so everybody's giving him food.
But she's like, eat some food. You won. You have the assassin trapped in your. You have BK. You have Castanton trapped in your dungeon downstairs. That's a win. Take the win. And then we get to the mayor's office.
Yeah.
And they switch roles back again.
Yeah.
Like I like their banter back and forth, but I really like it that depending on the circumstance, one is definitely one side and one is the other side.
Yeah.
And then they switch roles kind of
Yeah.
at that point.
I mean, he knows.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's, he might give her crap about it, but he knows that that's how she is, and if he didn't want her to be that way, she wouldn't be with him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's
a good cop, bad cop.
It's a good cop, bad
relationship.
cop, but it's also like Boba's the top of the spear, but Finnick is 1A. Like she is going to answer to him ultimately.
Yeah.
But she has nearly as much power as, and the only reason that is because he saved her.
Right.
And so I found that really interesting that like there's definitely a dynamic between the two of them of equal understanding and control. Ultimately, it is for us. It's an example of being king and queen of our other hobby.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's a joint conversation, but the king or whoever wins the tournament is the one who makes the final decision.
Right.
And so it's kind of that kind of feel. So I'm cool with it. And he's sitting on the throne, and she's drinking Spaka, so it doesn't really matter. The Factor Herald, whatever, goes on a run, and the biker gang chases him through Mos Espa.
This is the most Robert Rodriguez thing ever.
Yes.
70s, Starsky and Hutch, bike chase through the town. It's like,
I really loved it. I
did too.
loved
But
it.
we're watching it, and I'm like, this is like Robert Rodriguez direct. Oh,
Yeah. Guess what he did? I know some people are going to complain that the bikes and the speeder and everything were all a little kind of janky looking when they were going fast and sliding and stuff like that, taking the wheels off of them so they're floating through the air. I don't care. That's not what I'm worried about when I'm watching something like this. I'm involved in the chase that's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like there's some things in there like they showed a protocol droid,
Yeah.
they showed
A
the
an R
nose
a D2 unit, R
an R2 unit, a
R2.
couple of different R2 units in
Yeah.
there.
And then the
The
one
ones that Anakin you hit the nose
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
conversation, so they showed that. The fruit, I just left my name. He crashes into a
Yeah.
cart of fruit.
Yeah.
That fruit is a Lamka fruit. I can't remember. It's a running joke in Clone War or in Rebels
Oh yeah.
that Harold loves this fruit, and so whenever they're on a mission, they have to go find it. Like she's like, "And get me one of these fruits," and they. So it's
Well,
a kind
there's
of
a whole
there's a whole cart of it and stuff like that.
Land
But
speeder.
Boba finally shows up with a jetpack. We'll talk about the jetpack in a minute. But he says the mayor is working for the Pikes. Essentially, all of that was to get the Harold
Right.
to admit that it's something we already knew.
Right.
The mayor is looking for the Pikes. The final scene is one of the biker guys watching the transport show up, and he said at least 4 dozen Pike groups have showed up already.
Yep.
So it's definitely here's our army on the ground showing up kind of thing.
I would like to point out that the Pikes in their face mask things, their breathing unit, whatever, are very menacing looking, and then when they take them off, they're just ugly fucking fish.
Yeah. Yeah. That is totally by design. That is totally by design, and I'm here for all of that. The jetpack, I have to talk about for a second. Some people, when the first episode happened, and they got surrounded by the assassins with the shield wall or the shield line or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and Boba had his jetpack on,
Yeah, and didn't use it.
and he didn't use it. And some people are kind of like, it's the internet, so they're going to poke fun at it, whatever. And then this episode, he lands with the jetpack. And so I'm just
Right.
waiting for the internet to be like, oh my God, why didn't you use the jetpack in the last one? And just engage in the story that's being told. If he jetpacks out, then we don't find out who they're working
Right,
for that
right.
leads all the, it's
And to be fair,
foul.
it's been a moment since he's had his armor, so he's remembering again.
The last time he used his jetpack, if I remember correctly, or it was used for him, somebody poked a hole in the side of it, and he fell into a. So he might have some PTSD about using jetpacks.
Right.
I'm just saying. So with the Pikes showing up, it definitely feels like there's going to be a turf war for Tatooine.
Yeah.
The Hutts made a point of saying a dust bowl of a planet. So there's got to be some kind of resource
Yeah.
that we don't know that's on Tatooine
Yeah.
that is going to be fought over by the criminal syndicates. And ultimately what that means. This planet is too important within the confines of Star Wars itself, within the galaxy itself, to have it continue to show up in the story.
Yeah.
It was a major part of the original trilogy. It was a major part of the prequel trilogy. It was a major part of the beginning of Mandalorian, and all of this is going on Tatooine. So,
and the Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan's going to be a lot around.
Yeah. So I would expect that would all tie together.
So I find it very interesting that why are all the big time criminal syndicates trying to fight over this planet that really feels like it's nothing more than a way stop for the hyperspace lanes and stuff like that,
Right.
Or a place to go hide like Jakku is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like there's going to be some revelation within the next 2 episodes to tell us that there is water mines underneath the crust, or there's spice or something like that. But ultimately there's going to be something there that's just going to be more than just the war between factions, and it just happens to be a Tatooine. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because it could be anywhere. Why are we
here?
going back to Tatooine again?
Unless they're going to explain it as Tatooine is the only place where they can all fight it out without being interfered with by the New Republic or whatever else is out there, because we do have, the Old West, the old West. That's what I want to say. The Old West sheriffs and the X-wings with Dave Filoni and everybody that was like running around, and it was we were kind of leading to that roaming sheriffs in the galaxy with the X-wings kind of going around. They kind of tried to lay that groundwork, and then they've pulled back from that story a little bit. But if you have this idea of we're going to have criminal syndicate and tell the criminal syndicate story, there has to be something that is driving all of them to this point. And it's not just power, because power is great, but you have to have something that gives you that power.
Well, yeah. And, I'm the ruler or the kingpin or whatever of this, 500 miles of dirt. Woo!
Right,
Good
right.
for you. What is that? Yeah. What does that give you? A couple of moisture farmers and a lot of sand.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is...
And a crate dragon, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. That's... doesn't really give you any clout or any money or
any
whatever.
pull.
Yeah, that's the clout.
At least right now with the Pikes shipping the spice back and forth across the planet, they have some pull. At least from the back times, the current times. Yeah, they haven't really explained. I mean,
well, and I mean, I guess that could be it, that they. Because the New Order, or whoever's in charge right now, or whoever's trying to be in charge right now, doesn't really care about the planet, that it's kind of a place where they can go and move drugs and nobody's paying attention. But, what, I mean, the Hutts, that's not really their thing. And why is Boba... why is Boba there? Why is he like, I want to be the guy for this area?
Yeah, it's really why is... It has to deal... I feel with Boba, at least, it feels like a revenge story now, after them killing off his tribe.
Yes.
And him building up to go after the groups that he feel are at fault for that.
Because he even pointed out to the robot dude that has stuck around.
Torture droid.
Droid. That I think he said something about that there used to be water on the, or maybe it was the water merchant guy, and he's like, I'm from a planet that is all water. So again, you're like, why are you here then? This is the complete opposite.
It kind of feels like maybe it could be water, because they made a point of starting the episode with the water merchant and that he's gouging prices. And they keep, whenever they have Boba in the tank, the memory always starts with him on Camino.
Yeah.
Or at least, Camino is always part of that, where water is everything. And then he even made a point of saying in this episode, I'm from a planet full of water.
Yeah.
So,
and the last episode, the Pikes were like, we're gonna die if we don't have water to get back across the desert. When they robbed the train, and he was like, you can walk, and they broke open their water car, and let the water just, and all the everybody was running.
It's Dune.
Up with
They're doing Dune. I'm down to they're doing Dune.
Sure.
And I'm totally cool with that. People are going to complain. I don't care. I love Dune. But I think that's what we have for this week. I think we've gone as long as the episode has gone. So let us know what you thought of the episode, The Streets of Mos Espa, Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett, in the comments down below. Please be nice. There's a requirement around here. Like I said, I'm still trying to get over everything, and so this is all still a little fuzzy. I'm going to need like 17 gallons of water when we get done. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below. Please be nice. And like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links are in the description down below. And until next time, cult members, I'm going to make it good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.